What is up, guys? It is Monday, so that means it is another week for Modern Magic Mondays. So we've got 4 rounds tonight. It is week number 9 now. So just kind of finishing up the season, the last chance for a lot of players to try to cinch themselves into that top 8 for their chance to play at the top 8 Invitational. Very close season, so it should be really exciting to see how these last few weeks finish up here. So this is week number 9, the 10th week. No, week 8, 9. Now I'm getting myself. No, this is week 9. This is week 9. Yeah, see, I'm starting to get myself all confused again. This is week 9. Next week, week 10, and then we'll be finishing things up and get going with the Invitational, which should be probably the last week of November. I'm thinking, give or take. More or less, maybe, hopefully. We'll see. We'll talk with all the players that make top 8 and get a confirmation from all of them at that point. So why don't we just hop in and get going with round number 1. We'll just kind of talk through things as everything's going on. So hopping over, we've got Grixis Death Shadow versus Goryo's Vengeance. So Keenan going to be switching it up and trying something a little bit different. And what is up, Shiftless? Good to see you. Glad you can join us tonight. So it should be an exciting match between Goryo's Vengeance and Grixis Death Shadow. I mean, Keenan's going to be trying to go for that speed play. He's going to be doing his best to try to get some of his combo pieces into the graveyard, like Goryo, so he can be able to bring them back with Goryo's Vengeance. Like Gristlebrand is the kind of the main target that you want to be trying to get. Ah, sweet. Okay. Good to know. Alright, so that's what Keenan is rocking out tonight. It's a glass cannon of a deck. Alright, its whole process is to kind of combo off before your opponent really has a chance to do anything. When you think of very fast, aggressive combo style decks, Infect is up there with the speed of being able to kill somebody on turn 2, turn 3. Same thing for Goryo's Vengeance, right? You can be able to get those turn 2, turn 3 wins. It is super powerful. So definitely one of those, like, ooh, I've got to be super careful about. Oops. Apparently things got messed up with the video there for a second. That was weird. Sorry, guys. So it's a glass cannon deck, super fast. TJ, though, because he is playing Grixis Death Shadow, does have that disruptions available. Being able to strip away some of those pieces, like preventing things like Goryo's Vengeance, Through the Breach, those cards from being able to stay in his hand, which is really nice. So it looks like they're doing a quick roll off here to determine who's going to be going first. It's nice to see players back on the Death Shadow plan, since it did fall off for a bit. Some people are still liking it. Some have switched over to the Traverse so they can take advantage of our newest addition to the green-black style, which is that Assassin's Trophy. And this is the determining factor here. Do you see this red-black Scryland there? Temple of Malice, I want to say. That should give you all an indication of what you're playing. There's really only one deck that does run that, and that's Goryo's Vengeance. Sometimes you might see some budget fringe weird stuff being played, but really you see that red-black Scryland, it is going to be the Goryo's Vengeance. Alright, so TJ, bobble, fetch, shock, pass turn, draws 2 cards. Keenan does have 2 Simians in his hand. So really his goal right now is to try to dump some stuff. So he's going to cast Tormenting Voice here to try to discard something and draw some cards. But that does end up saying, nope, Stubborn Denial, we're going to counter that unless you pay 1. And he says, that's fine. My real goal here was to pitch this as part of the cost. And here's a Street Wraith. TJ is going to drop down to 15. Another Bauble. And he says, I'm going to take a look at myself. He does have that fetch land, so that Bauble is very important to determine whether he cares about keeping that card on top or not. So he says, okay, let's do this whole lose some life again. Let's drop to 12. Fetch, shock. And actually, he's going to be going for a second Watery Grave here. So, I mean, with the way that's going and the cards that TJ's been playing, the Bauble, the Street Wraith, you can sit there and assume, okay, I'm facing against Grixis Death Shadow at this point in time. And then 2 more, TJ's going to drop down to 10, and here's the Thoughtseize. So, Night's Whisper is the card, lose 2 life, draw 2 cards, and then 2 Simians. So, we might see Keenan, if he can't get anything of value, just hard cast a Simian here. So TJ's going through his graveyard, determining what cards he wants to make sure he keeps. One of those at least is that Stubborn Denial, and going to be exiling the rest as part of the delve cost to get out that Gurmag Angler, which is very scary. He is a 5/5. Now, if there are any cards that we're talking about in chat here that you are unaware of, you can simply type exclamation card and type in that card's name. So, for example, let's pop up Goryo's Vengeance, shall we? And our handy dandy card bot will let you know exactly what that card does. But Death Shadow comes out behind it. We also saw TJ drop down to 8 life. With that untapped Blood Crypt. Alright, here we see Night's Whisper. Keenan's going to lose some life. Go down to 18. And by 18, I mean he's going to be at 13 because he took a Gurmag to the face. There is a Goryo's. Now, if TJ has a Snapcaster or access to a Stubborn Denial in his hand, he's going to be countering that immediately. But he doesn't. So now, Keenan can start to combo off. And he says, I will lose 7 life. And say, I'll go down to 6. Draw 6 cards. So with that Goryo's Vengeance, his Grizzlebrand does have haste and lifelink, so you can be able to swing in. Oops. Can't spell Grizzlebrand. There we go. So, Grizzlebrand's coming out, and you can see he's going to be just kind of drawing cards, and he's going to gain some life. Nourishing Shoal was played. So we're going to say so if Nourishing Shoal was played for his gaining 11, we'll say he's at 24. Ah, that's a very good point there. That's in chat saying that he loves the deck. At least when you lose, you die quick so you can just move on to the next game. Alright? It's you're going to win quick or lose quick. Okay, TJ is going to go down to 7. So if you're wondering what card he probably shipped away with with the Nourishing Shoal, it was most likely World Spine Worm, which is an 11 cost green worm. So 5 more are going to come in. And he says, I'll lose 7 life. Draw 7 cards. Oh, he got the Borborygmos. Okay. Nourishing Shoal. There's the World Spine Worm again. I'd like to gain 11. Back to 23. I'd also like to lose 7. Drop down to 16. And he says, here's my Simian Spirit Guide. Here's my other Simian Spirit Guides. Doom, doom, doom. And I'd like to make 3 mana. Splice on the Arcane. Bam, bam, bam. Here's my Through the Breach. Here's my Borborygmos. Here's my lands. 3, 6, 9, 12. Dead. TJ must have been at 6. I think I forgot to count one of his fetches there or something. So, and that's game 1, guys. So that shows you the power of the deck, all right? You saw his hand where he was just sitting there with like 2 Simian Spirit Guides and like a land, and he was just like, all right, cool, here's a Night's Whisper. I'll lose 2 life, draw 2 cards. Oh, I found my Goryo's Vengeance. Cool. I'm going to play his Goryo's Vengeance. Can you stop me? No? Cool. Now I have a 7/7. I can lose 7 life, draw 7 cards, found a Nourishing Shoal, gain 11 life. Sweet. Attack for 7. Oh, sweet. Okay, I can keep doing this and drain my own life to draw a bunch of cards to eventually cast Borborygmos either from the graveyard with another Goryo's Vengeance, or you can be able to sneak it in by using Through the Breach, and then you're sitting there being like, okay, well, here's my Borborygmos. I'm going to discard lands and be able to get you and kill you. Power, power, power. Like I said, it is a glass cannon of a deck, so you do have to keep that in mind. All right, so going into sideboard stuff. So if you have Graveyard Hate, that does help against Goryo's Vengeance, but you saw that he can just play it a little bit slower if need be and do Through the Breach stuff. But one of the ways around it too is being able to shut down activated abilities. If you're running Pithing Needles, you can name Borborygmos, but you have to name Borborygmos in Rage because there's 2 Borborygmos, and you know you got to be careful. All right, players are ready. Let's jump in it. Oh, just kidding. Keen was not happy with that one. Another bauble to start things out. Again, that Mishra's bauble allows him to look at the top card of either player's library, and then during your opponent's upkeep, you get to draw a card. So this is a really big thing for allowing TJ to kind of get some extra ideas about what is on the top, whether he wants to keep it or whether he wants to ship it away with a fetch, and that could be determining his first draw. So Faithless Looting will get stripped away here. See Night's Whisper, Simian Spirit Guide, and a Nourishing Shoal, as well as 2 lands, one of which was that Scry land there. So we get to see some Scry action come out for Keenan, and he's going to decide whether he wants to keep that. Looks like he's good to keep that, and we'll pass after that. So again, the cool thing about Grixis Death Shadow is all about that management and knowing when to choose how much life to lose, right? Like, how are you going to be spending your turn and managing that extra resource? Because the biggest thing that new players need to learn is that life is a resource, especially if you're going to start playing Modern with having fetch lands and shock lands and things like that. You have to be able to keep track of it like this and understand that I can take a few hits here and there. I can fetch and shock to speed up my play a little bit. I don't just have to play basics. I don't have to worry about blocking every single time, depending on the matchup and depending on the deck. Faithless Looting and pass. Bloodstained Mire. We'll lose 3 more. Down to 12. 1, 2, 3. I'd say playing against Goryo's Vengeance is one of the most stressful matches to ever play from my point of view. Because it's so scary to know as they start to combo off, you're pretty dead. So you have to try to find a way to delay them, slow them down, do things like that before it gets to be too crazy. So Keenan's going to attempt to Night's Whisper here. Lose 2 life and gain 2. Basically trying to say, hey, do you have counter magic? Are you going to use it now? And he says, I'll pay the 1. Oh, look at this. That was super cool. TJ opts to bolt himself here, so his Stubborn Denial now is just counter target spell. No longer just counter target spell unless your opponent plays 1, like it normally is, because he has this Death Shadow that is now a 4/4. It's got that ferocious and just counters it outright, which is awesome. So again, those lines of play are really coming forth with players that are very experienced with particular decks and have grinded and played them quite a lot to see those lines of play. And kind of another reason why TJ is one of our few two-time champions at Modern Magic Mondays. He's won 2 invitationals. So he says, hey, this is what I got. You can't take this one, but these are available for you. Tormenting Voice, Simian Spirit Guide, and Nourishing Shoal. But he does notice there is that Through the Breach hanging out that is just not a targetable based on Inquisition's requirements. And he says, let's get rid of the Tormenting Voice. Like, having that cost to get rid of something is pretty scary, because you can start to really get going with it. Nourishing Shoal. I think he's got 2 Nourishings in his hand. Ooh. Bring the beats. Here's 4. Scries that to the bottom and passes. Let's say the modes are discard a card and deal 2 damage to you. Well, here's 4 more. And here's a Gurmag Angler. Scary, scary threats. Let's see if Keenan can find something worthwhile here. Gonna hard cast the Simian Spirit Guy, basically saying, hey, here's a 2/2 blocker. Declare blockers here. I'll take 5, go to 5. I mean, he needs something. Well, here's Borborygmos. Flashback to Faithless Looting. Oh, he doesn't have the Simian Spirit Guide anymore. Otherwise, he could have Simian Manamorphose. And he's just like, yeah, every avenue I have here will not get me there. You've got too much power on board. I've tried to delay things, but it's just not happening. Now, Keenan made the right play there of blocking the Death Shadow and not the 5/5 Gurmag Angler, because of the fact that TJ could have very easily have had some Street Wraiths. He could have very easily had more bolts to shoot at his face. Like, he had these sort of options to be able to help him out. But there is a good chance that TJ actually stripped out some of his Street Wraiths in this matchup for some more interactive cards that help. But things are tied up 1-1, and we'll be going into Game 3 shortly here. Looks like neither player really feeling like they need to adjust their decks. They know pretty much what each other are playing, how the decks work, so they're not like super worried, oh, I really need to make sure that based on what I saw for game 2, I add this in. No, they pretty much know, and they added it in for game 2, and they're going to keep their decks the way they are for game 3. Alright, so Keenan on the play here. I see a Faithless, a Nourishing, a... looks like another Ritual, maybe? Wow. What a bully. Here's my Leyline of the Void. Such a great card. Very expensive card right now. So there's the Faithless. So you have to think is anything that you're throwing to the graveyard is going to be useless. And so that's why he says, I don't need Goryo's Vengeance. Based on you having Leyline, it's a dead card in this matchup now. Inquisition. TJ is going to drop down to 17. Cannot take these two, he says. Bantu's Last Reckoning is the only choice available. Pretty sure it costs 3. Oh wait, Nourishing Shoal is X and 3, so you can definitely get Nourishing Shoal. My bad, guys. I'm sure everybody sitting at home watching is like, "What Nourishing Shoal? Nourishing Shoal costs 3. He can take that." Well, I guess it costs 2. Double green and an X. You know. See, I can't even get it right when I'm trying to correct myself. Alright, fetching shotgun out of TJ here. Serum Vision, which is nice. I'm a fan of the Serum in the Grixis list. I like it a lot. I know some people have been trying different combinations like the Faithless and things like that, but I really believe that the Serum helps out a lot of the double scry, makes a big difference. Because it's a lot of like this planning out, right? You want to be planning turns ahead, and that really helps you in this matchup. Fetching down to 18. What up, Wendy? Long time no see. So Keenan's really just building up a huge mana base, just sort of like stuck waiting at this point. Oh, awesome. What deck you sleeving up? Yeah, I think it was... We've been doing this for 2 years now. Basically, like, near the end of when I was, like, switching from StarCraft 2, like, hardcore to deciding, you know what? I've been playing a lot more Magic, going to a lot more tournaments. I want to start doing Magic coverage, and so we started up doing coverage at our local shop. So, been going for about 2 years now, this. Oh, sweet. Green Stompy is always fun. I have not tried out the Grixis Affinity, though. Gurmag coming out here. So, nice 5/5. I want to say TJ is down to 11, though. I might have missed. Again, I get so distracted. Oh, that sucks. A big part of our local game store getting so much better is people want to come out and get better by playing on the camera, right? Like, people get to watch and see the mistakes they make and learn different matchups, and it definitely has helped the skill ceiling increase at our shop, and a lot of players have gone to other events, bigger events, opens and GPs with some success, or more success than previously before the stream started up. No, it's nice to be able to interact with chat, you know, helps pass the time. So Bantu's Last Reckoning going to come out and attempt to destroy all creatures, but Stubborn Denial is going to shut that down. So I think Keenan's just double checking, saying, hey, does my lands untap even though this has been countered? So just double checking that. Modern is my format of choice, but I do have Legacy Infect. I have the Is It Blitz for Pauper, Hexproof for Pauper, and Infect for Pauper. I try to play Infect in every format. And I do play a lot of Arena, so I guess that's my quote-unquote standard deck. So every format? Alright, Bobble's going to get used, and TJ wants to kind of get an eye on what Keenan's got coming up. And which is, at this stage, he's not so worried about fetching away his own stuff. He really wants to see, since Keenan's been building up now, alright? So now it's like the, what are you doing? What are you hiding up here? What are you building up to? Yeah, my wife only plays Commander. Like, we used to play other stuff and like Kitchen Table and stuff, and then she said, you're getting too competitive, let's just play Commander. So we have a bunch of Commander decks that we play, so I'll play with her in those formats and stuff, since she's like, alright, that's a little, you know, a little more laid back, a little slower, we can both do a little crazy stuff, but it's, you know, it's a lot of this kind of build up when it's just the two of us. So Tormenting Voice, and he's going to say no. I'm going to flash in the Snapcaster and Stubborn Denial. You got married? What? Yes, I did get married 2 years ago. Oh, God. That's not good. And here's the beats. Alright, Serum's going to get used. So I'm remote. I'm at my house. We record up every Tuesday, and then on the following Monday, I broadcast up. The shop, sadly, internet cannot handle us broadcasting there, or I would broadcast there and not play as much anymore. But it works out so that I can still play and then just broadcast on Mondays, which, you know, is great. I mean, TJ's basically set up. He's like, well, I've got the Stubborn Denials. I've got the cards that I need. I'm not really worried about any shenanigans. I don't know if you guys can hear Sophie in the background. It is the House of Cats still, so. Okay, so Keenan does have the Nourishing Shoal and the World Spine Worm to try to be like, hey, can I gain 11 life, please? Here's another fish. I do keep the cat cam when I'm doing it on my personal stream. Like if I'm doing some of the other games and stuff like that, because we have 2 desktops in the office, and the cats love to just lay in the other chair, so I set the webcam up so you guys can see the cat cam going. Alright, so he says, Nourishing Shoal, and I'd like to try to gain 11 life. Bobble you. Now, unless I missed a point of damage, which is very possible, or missed another Nourishing Shoal, Keenan might just be dead here. I must have missed something. I'm going to say he's at 3. Doesn't really matter, because there's the hand. Oh, all right. So, I mean, that kind of shows you the whole thing about combo decks, though, right? Like, if you aren't getting what you need, you can kind of fall on your face. So, you know, the ley line that popped out made a huge difference there. So, here I'll show off. There's one of our cats sleeping. But no, the ley line did make a difference and really changed how Keenan had to approach the very beginning of the game, and so that is part of it too. So, all right, take it easy, bud. Glad you can tune in and watch for a bit. Hopefully, we'll catch you later. So that's the thing too. It's like you were like, okay, I have this Goryo's Vengeance in my opening hand. I want to go for this route, and then TJ's like, I have a pregame effect. Here's this Ley Line in the Void. You're not going to be doing anything with your graveyard. And that's the big thing of what graveyard hate do you have. And Goryo's Vengeance is a good deck, but because so many people are packing graveyard hate to help deal with Dredge is starting to get a resurgence with the new cards that have been printed out. Again, it's just, that seems how it is. Like, people get back into that Dredge plan, that it pulls double duty against a deck like Goryo's Vengeance. Yes, you have the Through the Breach and things like that to kind of help out, but it's tough, right? So we're gonna hop in round dose. Let's get going, guys. We'll see what other cool matches we have on camera tonight.